Hey, what's happening, gamers? Welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles on KwingsLetsPlays, brought to you by our friends over at Capcom. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode. And thanks again, Capcom. So today we are doing the Great Ace Attorney Adventures number 2, the Resolve, which is the last game in the prequel series on Phoenix Wright's ancestors, Susie and Ryunosuke.
Yay!
So, yes.
Yep, thanks again, Capcom. You're breathtaking. Thanks again, guys, for being, and ladies, for being in the chat. Being awesome. All aboard the hype train. Woo woo! Chugga 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 chugga. Hype train. Yeah. Something wrong with the microphone, L?
Yeah, there's something wrong with the microphone.
What happened? What do we have to do? Replug it in? Did I mess it up?
Might have bumped it today. So there's, I mean, I'll have to fix it for the next stream.
Does the microphone sound weird to everyone? Wait, can you unplug it and plug it in?
No.
In the middle of the stream?
Nope.
I'm so sorry, Luke.
Yeah, it's okay. So there's a little bit of feedback, guys. If you hear buzzing and stuff like that, there's an issue with the microphone.
No. It's my fault. And special thanks to Luke's foot for making it hard for him to get down the stairs.
Uh-oh.
What? Are we on the right save file?
I don't see. I mean, we completed the thing, so where is the special?
Continue.
How do you get the next game? Uh-oh. This isn't good. This is not. How do you get the next game? Guys, how do I unlock the next game? Where is it? Shouldn't.
I would think it would have been right here.
I would think it'd be right here too.
Okay, Dr. Clue says select adventure, then left and right at the top.
Huh?
Select adventure. Now left.
What?
Well, why don't I try to do it?
I'm not seeing anything. The Adventure of the Great, there's supposed to be... What's going on?
Are you saying that instead of...
Did Capcom not give us a full game? Uh-oh.
Wait.
Wait, how'd you do that? Oh, okay. Alright. Thank you. Okay, alright. Thank you. Okay! Never mind.
That's what you paid me the big bucks for!
There we go!
Thanks again, Capcom, for providing a copy of not only the Great Ace Attorney, but the Great Ace Attorney 2.
Okay, here we go. I just woke up.
Silly man. Boop.
Standing here in the bright sunshine, looking out over the vast ocean. Those days in London seem like a dream. But I do miss my time in England's vast capital.
Whoa, she doesn't sound Japanese in the English.
You know, he's flourished into a truly wonderful lawyer. I've no doubt that at this very moment, he's fighting some noble cause in court.
That's not how Susato talks. She's Japanese.
Forgive me for taking so long to come to visit you. My life has been such a whirlwind since I returned. And no one could have predicted what has happened. Just 2 months after arriving home.
Uh-oh.
So I came here today to ask something of you. Tomorrow, I shall be standing in court.
Wait, her dad died?
For the only time in my life. As a lawyer.
Is that Kazuma's grave or her dad's?
I don't know. Oh my gosh.
So please, I ask for your guidance. Kazuma-sama.
Oh,
It's Kazuma.
it's Kazuma, okay. No, her dad's okay, I think.
It's very cute, Princess Emmy says my prayers are with her dad.
The Adventure of the Blossoming Attorney, Episode 1.
Ooh.
13th of August, 8:26 a.m., Supreme Court of the Judicial Defendant's Antechamber.
Is your throat? Do you need more tea? So here I am again after 9 months. The Supreme Court of Judicature of Japan.
Yay, new Susie voice. I like it.
I feel so nervous, but I must steel my nerves and find a way to compose myself. I refuse to be a weird English accent lady.
Ah, good, you're here. It doesn't do for a lawyer to be late.
Yes. Father, I just saw an alternate Earth in which I had an English accent. Weird. Oh yes, good morning, sir.
I hardly recognize you. You cut a fine figure, Consul. But you look as white as a sheet. And those eyes wide aren't doing you any favors either.
Oh dear. The truth is, I'm so incredibly nervous. I feel utterly nauseated. Isn't that her dad? I almost wish I had never been born.
Goodness. Not the sort of thing a father hopes to hear from his daughter, I must say.
It is her dad. Yujin Mikatoba, professor of medicine at the Imperial Yumei University. A man who earlier in his life traveled to Great Britain to study the latest advances in forensic medical science. And of course, my brilliant father.
Excuse me. Oh my gosh.
Another girl. Oh my gosh. Would I be correct in thinking that you're to be my lawyer in court today? Oh, yes. That's right. Miss, Well, I want to thank you for agreeing to represent me. I swear on my life. It's a complete fabrication. The whole thing.
Okay.
Rei Membami, born the same year as I and my greatest friend. Though unusual for a woman in our time, she works at the university research laboratory, helping my father. And sadly, she's the defendant in today's trial.
Oh no!
Accused of committing a truly awful murder.
Well, that's not good.
Are you feeling all right? Since we started talking, you seem, well, to have become a little flushed. Oh my, well, it's just that,
Wow, she looks like Maya. A little bit.
You look so gallant and dashing! Sorry? And when I fall under your intense gaze, it makes me feel rather bashful. Her name is Rei, I think. Goodness, I don't think she knows. She hasn't realized who I am.
It would seem our little plan for this trial is going to work.
Oh, what? What do you mean, Professor Mikatoba?
If even your best friend can't see through your disguise, I think we can relax.
Disguise? Yes. I've never tried dressing this way before, of course, so I wasn't sure how convincing it would be. But this does make me feel a little relieved, as you say, Father. Father? What? Whoa! Is that you, Susato? Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't say something sooner, Rei. No! What are you doing? What's going on? What? What varsity uniform? That varsity cap, varsity cape, and a varsity badge! Look at you! You look, for all the world, just like a student of the Imperial Yomei University! A male student! Oh, she's dressing up as a male so she can defend her in court.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so glad that you saw who I am. It means all my preparations have been worthwhile. I woke up at 4 this morning to make a start. But I don't understand. Why do you dress like that, Susato? Well, you see...
It was the only way. The only way she could be permitted into the Supreme Court to take on your defense in this trial.
My defense?
Yes.
Never before in my life have I felt so frustrated at having been born into this body. Courts in Japan are barred to women. We're not even allowed to set foot inside the courtroom. Despite that fact, the laws of the land apply to all people, male and female alike. But women are forbidden. Just for today, I'll be leaving my true self at the courtroom door. So that I can act as your lawyer. Rei? Oh, Susato! You'd go to such lengths for me? Of course. You're my greatest friend. I just worry that I shan't be the lawyer you deserve. Oh no! I have complete faith in you! Rei! Huh? It's so strange though. I mean, you're such an accomplished judicial assistant already, and yet just because you're a woman... What a wretched reason! I mean, why shouldn't you be allowed in court? You're so gallant and dashing! Rei, please don't look at me like that. Those flushed cheeks and doting eyes. Oh, I'm sorry, it's just, you really do look so dashing as a guy. Yes, you mentioned that once or twice.
You should be pleased. It means you look convincing as a man. Oh, no father wants to
I am
tell
pleased that I look like a man, father. I think it certainly helps my case at least. Rei, you're managing to put on a brave face in all of this, but I can see through it. I've noticed how your shoulders are slumped and how you're trembling ever so slightly. Wait, she was like, okay, Susato.
Yes, she thought you were a dude, and she was like, oh my gosh, I found the man I'm gonna marry. And then it's like, oh wait, nope, it's just my best friend in disguise. Why?
You do believe me, don't you, Susato? I didn't do it. I couldn't have. I mean, murder. Of course. You have nothing to worry about. Your conscience is perfectly clean. Isn't that right? Yes, it is. Perfectly clean. I have absolutely no doubt in my mind about your innocence. Which is why I'll stand by you until the bitter end in this trial. Whatever happens, I'll always be on your side, Rei. Because you are the chosen one in Star Wars. Because that's what it means to be a defense lawyer.
I'm pretty sure that's Maya's descendant or ancestor.
Oh,
she looks
okay.
just like Maya.
She has weird mannerisms like Maya.
She has Maya mannerisms. Also, look at the bow in her hair.
Yeah.
Very Maya-like. Defendant counsel! Court is about to begin. Proceed to the courtroom at once.
What if someone finds out Susato is a girl? I don't know.
She would be executed.
Oh, wow.
Thrown in jail or executed, yeah. You should go in at once, Rei. If you're late, the judge won't hesitate to pronounce you guilty.
Oh, stand aside! I don't think I've ever seen her run so fast.
Well, Susie, you've certainly surprised your father, going to such lengths to admit it into the courtroom and with no prior experience of being a lawyer.
There was simply no other way. That's all there is to it, Father. But, Father, you haven't told her, have you? I mean, I'm right in assuming that Rei doesn't know how it came to all this?
Yes, quite right. I've kept that information from her. It would only worry her if she found out that no other lawyer would agree to take her case. I didn't want to burden her with that.
And is it true? The reason why every other lawyer is refusing to take this case, Father? Is it really because of who the victim was?
we should be making a move now, too. As you know, law isn't my field, but I will do what I can to support you, my student.
Thank you, Father.
Yeah, he's a medical doctor.
I am Susato Mikotoba, a judicial assistant. 8 months ago, I accompanied a student of law on a study trip to Great Britain. But 2 months ago, due to unforeseen circumstances, I found myself back in Japan. How many times have I wished that he were here, I wonder. Still, I have no choice now but to steel myself for the trial ahead. Wish me luck, Naruhodo-san.
Aw, she's thinking about him.
The feels!
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if Naruhodo is thinking about her.
He is. They said some pretty parting words when she left, to Japan all those months ago.
13th of August, 9 a.m., Supreme Court of Judicature, Courtroom 1.
It's hard to say, isn't it?
I would say Supreme Court of Justice.
The court is now in session to hear the trial of Rei.
The prosecution is fully prepared to proceed, Your Excellency.
Ouchie.
There she is. She does look like a guy. Defense counsel, are you ready? Yes, Your Excellency, we are ready.
Ready!
She's acting just like Naruhodo. Yes, consul. According to your registration details, your name is, Ritoro Naruhodo, is that correct?
Ryutaro.
Ryutaro? Okay.
Ryu! Her name is Ryu!
Ryu works.
Sorry?
Oh yes, I had to come up with a suitable male name for you for this little venture.
My name is Ryu!
So I'm afraid to say I simply put down the first name that sprung to mind.
After playing Street Fighter.
Well, consul.
Hadouken! Yes, that's right. That's me. Yes. My name is Ryu. I am Ryutaro, he who has vowed to uphold the pride of the great Naruhodo clan. My name is Ryu.
Ah.
Yes.
It seems Ryu may need to consider how better to uphold his manly act first and never overdo it. And those wild, wide eyes aren't doing you any favors either. Just relax and listen.
Naruhodo?
A fresh face in this courtroom, if I'm not mistaken. But the name Naruhodo, would that perchance be...
You may be thinking Ryunosuke Naruhodo, currently in Britain as part of a study program. This is,
his cousin, Ryu Naruhodo!
That's right. Ryu here has been studying in the provinces, but was called to the capital for this trial. I assure you, in matters of law, his knowledge rivals that of any of Tokyo's pre-essent, lawyers.
Any of them!
Tut. Oh no! What pitiful... Oh, blast! We are out of power! Of all these things that could happen... This is bad. Okay, let us see how this works now. Having been rejected by every lawyer in the capital, the accused has to call on a country boy.
How dare you! Susato is every bit as gallant and dashing as any of your Tokyo attorneys! I won't have you making fun of her!
Her? What are you going on about?
Please be careful, Rei.
Huh? What an unrefined tomboy we have here. But I wonder, is your gallant and dashing lawyer up to the challenge of defending you? His wide, skittish eyes very much suggest that he is not.
I'm so nervous. Now that I'm standing in his shoes, I'm starting to understand what Naruhodo-san goes through. Like it or not, eyes or not, eyes are wont to flit.
What?
My eyes are wont to flit. I want to flit my eyes.
No idea what this means. The case to be heard on this day is a matter of great significance to our national interests. In fact, it would be reasonable to assume that the outcome of this trial may well affect the very future of our empire.
Just like the trial named 9 months ago, eh? And yet for the proceedings of such importance, we have this unknown, yokel by the dock? Dear me.
Perhaps this would be an appropriate moment for me to assess the defense, to determine whether you are sufficiently competent to practice in this courtroom. 9 months ago, when a certain other Naruhodo stood where you're standing now. The same judge tested him as well. And even though he was just a student at the time, not even of law, he passed the test with flying colors. For a trained and experienced judicial assistant like you, this would be easy. So, Consul, do you consent to answering some simple questions?
People were wondering, am I trying to be a guy, being Susato trying to be a guy? I don't know. I guess I'll do it in between guy and girl, because she is a girl, but she's trying to be a guy, so I don't really know.
Trying to act like Naruhodo.
Yes, Your Excellency, but please do make them simple.
Very well. To start with, you will state the name of the victim.
Phew, that is simple. I wish I couldn't forget that if I tried.
Tutorial time.
What
What is the matter, my daughter? I mean, son.
Yes, I am a strapping young lad, and your son, cousin, nephew. Now that I'm standing in his shoes, I'm starting to understand something else Naruhodo's son goes through. Like it or not, minds are want to blank. Yes, VG Shine says they say want a lot, yep.
It is not surprising, really. It is your first time in this position and in that guise. Even a bright spark like you is bound to flicker and flatter, a little under the circumstances. Haha.
Oh dear, this is a dismal failure.
Don't fret. You need only to use the knowledge you have gained as a judicial assistant to overcome the problem.
Of course, the court record. Yes, the answer must be amongst all the key information about this case in the court record.
Yes, that is right. Hold R1 to open the court record. Then you need to flip to the People section with R1. And don't take too long over it. His Excellency is watching you closely.
All right, check the court record with R1. That's where the information I need will be.
I'm waiting, Consul. What is the name of the victim in this case? Jezebel Jet.
Giselle Brett.
Whatever, yeah.
Jezebel Jet. I'll call her Jezebel.
Raises her hand just like him. It's so cute.
The name of the victim who lost her life in this case is Miss Giselle Brett. His hair's messed up. Giselle Brett!
A name that will never be forgotten in the courtroom of our country, I'm sure. Correct. And, being a member of our empire's judiciary, you will be well aware of the significance of that name. So, let me pose another simple question. As you know, Miss Brett was a visiting student from the great empire of Britain. Why then is her name inevitably associated with our own empire's judicial history? Obviously, you won't have forgotten the case from 9 months ago, correct? But it is proving hard to recall. The finer points, everything you need is included in the court record.
Obviously, I still remember. That was the start of everything. Giselle Brett, behind the woman's student persona, was the face of...
Oops!
A victim! Obviously!
What?
The victim's role is already taken, Consul, as you should know.
Oops.
That answer came from such misguided confidence. I was almost taken in.
Oh, I thought it sounded a little odd.
Leave me out of this. Check the court record and find the correct answer to the question of Miss Brett's true identity.
Ah, yes, Father. Uncle.
You will find it in the People section. No, that won't do, Consul. Amend your answer before we have any more victims to contend with.
Yes, of course, Your Excellency. behind the woman's student persona was the face of Queen Victoria!
No.
A killer! 9 months ago, a visiting professor of medicine at the Imperial Yume University was killed, and the culprit was Giselle Brett. Or it could be Giselle Brett.
Yes, she was a killer. At the time, our country had just signed a new treaty with the Empire of Britain. No, you cannot have my tea. It was in the midst of this delicate diplomatic situation that the incident occurred. And an English... What in the
Sorry.
world is going on?
Sorry!
An Englishman, Dr. H. Wilson, was shot dead. I believe he was an associate of yours, Professor Mikatoba? Who's saying that? Yes, I was indebted to the man. He had been my mentor when I went to London to study forensic medicine. It was I who invited him here to Japan as a visiting professor at the university. Naturally, the murder of an Englishman on our soil was a matter the government wished to resolve rapidly. Yes, indeed it was, which is why a secret trial was conducted here at the Supreme Court. A student of the Imperial University was arrested on suspicion of murder. A second-year English student by the name of Ryunosuke Naruhodou. Now, that's how he's able to speak English. He was a student of English. With the help of his best friend, a student lawyer, the accused conducted his own evidence and exposed a despicable crime committed by Miss Giselle Brett. Miss Brett eventually admitted to her crime. However, when questioned about the motive that drove her to take Dr. Wilson's life, she gave no satisfactory answer before the trial reached its conclusion.
Immediately after the trial, the British government brought its jurisdiction into play. We were unable to sentence Miss Brett according to our empire's laws. It was decided that she would be removed to Shanghai instead.
Why Shanghai?
There's a British court there. Yes, correct. I oversaw the negotiations personally. The date of her transfer to Shanghai was finally settled upon only last week. All that remained for our empire's obligation was to see the woman safely aboard a steamship.
Yes, and yet the very day before her departure, the Englishwoman was killed.
Oh, on the day before?
Da-da-da, da-da-da. That will do. I am satisfied that the counsel for the defense is sufficiently capable of representing the defendant.
I am? Oh, right, I am. Thank you, Your Excellency. I'm really prepared. Really prepared. Over the first hurdle.
Now a summary of the incident, if you please.
What?
Prosecutor Ouchie.
I am ready. As is your wish, Your Excellency.
Yes, we do need Susato to wield a sword.
The repugnant crime took place on the 11th of August in broad daylight. On the outskirts of the Imperial capital, under a bright blue sky, at the secluded bathing spot by the sea. The incident occurred inside a small beach hut, erected for bathers to rest or change their clothes. Bathers! What? The cause of death was a single stab wound to the posterior abdomen that pierced the victim's lung. The injury which proved fatal, obviously. There were two persons alone together in that beach hut at the time of the victim's death. Miss Brett in her bathing attire, and the accused, Rei Membami. You! Accordingly, there can be no doubt of the accused's guilt, especially when we consider she had a powerful motive. The police arrived rapidly at the scene and promptly arrested the young lady.
Well, That extraordinary description of the events leaves me somewhat lost for words, I must say.
That's certainly true. The prosecutor's summary. It was full of words that raise an awful lot of questions. As a lawyer, I really ought to pick up the prosecution counsel on what he said about... being alone together. I don't know. Powerful motive. What was... Powerful motive. What was the motive?
The bathing spot.
Fine! The bathing spot! If I may, Prosecutor Ouchie?
What? What do you want, you fresh-faced young yokel?
I wonder, Prosecutor, could you explain, please? You mentioned a bathing spot.
My apologies. Clearly my modernity has confused the poor country bumpkin's simple mind.
What was that?
Bathing spots are the latest trend in health practices from the West. We are told that bathing in the water of the ocean is curative, therapeutic, and excellent for the skins.
No, that's not what I meant at all.
What?
I was referring to the fact that Miss Brett had, to all intents and purposes, been found guilty of murder. Why would a known criminal have been relaxing by the sea?
Don't speak in broken English and you won't mess up. What? For old time's sake, I believe.
Sorry?
Miss Brett was to depart for Shanghai the following day. Her final wish, as it were, was to enjoy a day at the country's wonderful coast. And the British Embassy put extreme pressure on our government to comply.
But on what grounds would we agree to such a request?
Because, as usual, our government is unable to stand up to foreign powers. Uh-oh, Ambi, you can't be hitting that. Look at that, we're dropping frames, honey. Watch your foot. In matters of diplomacy, it seems we don't even have the courage to decline the whims of a known criminal.
Don't look at me, Professor. It was the government who granted permission, not I. In any case, it was decided that with a dedicated detective on duty, nothing could go wrong.
But in fact, a murder did take place.
I said don't look at me. It was a young student who did it, not I.
No one has proved that yet.
I wouldn't provoke the man if I don't need to.
At this stage, I need to gather more information, I think. As a lawyer, I really ought to pick up the prosecution counsel on what he said about...
being alone together.
Membami-san! Oh, yes! What is it, Naruhodou-san! I'm really starting to wish we'd made my alias, Ryutaro Susato. Please, tell the court why exactly you were present at the bathing spot with the victim in the first place. And why you were alone with her.
Oh, well, no, that's not true. It wasn't like that at all. There were other people present. A detective who was guarding Miss Brett, for starters. I was just asked to accompany Miss Brett as a companion. That's all.
But let us be clear. At the moment of her death, you were alone together with the victim in the hut. You and no one else. The truth is, there is only one reason why this young woman accompanied Miss Brett on her bathing thing. It was the accused's last chance to take the victim's life.
No!
Because, as we know, the following day would see Miss Brett's extradited to the British authorities in Shanghai. And the accused would never have an opportunity to dispatch her again.
Oh.
Kindly refrain from conjecture, Consul.
What?
The prosecution counsel seems to enjoy using provocative tricks like that. But for now, at least, we need to assemble more facts. Try not to let him goad you.
Oh dear, this is really terrifying, but Father's right. We need more information first. As a lawyer, I really ought to pick up the prosecution counsel on what he said about a powerful motive.
Yep, that would be the next one.
You're clearly exaggerating. Powerful motive is a blatant overstatement.
Tut, 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 tut. Is the yokel country bumpkin using long words he doesn't fully understand?
What? I beg your pardon?
No matter. Let us put in this accused, shall we? Membi-san, you are a research assistant at the Imperial University, I believe?
Yes, I am. I am working with Professor Mikotoba in its laboratory at the moment.
I can confirm that. The defendant is an excellent assistant with a strong sense of responsibility.
Fascinating to hear. Now, another question I pose. Prior to your work with Professor, whose research were you assisting then?
Oh, I was studying under Dr. John H. Wilson.
Dr. John H. Wilson, the visiting English professor who was murdered by Miss Brett 9 months ago?
Wait, why would she try to get revenge for her teacher, though?
Yes, the accused had a deep-seated respect for her former mentor, Dr. Wilson. Is that not true?
No, I didn't like him at all. I mean, yes, Dr. Wilson was a wonderful man.
Interesting. Then tell the court what deep-seated feelings you had towards the English woman who killed him.
Well, obviously I was filled with hatred for what she'd done. A powerful hatred.
Dope.
Oh no, Rei! Be careful of what you're saying.
There you have it. The motive was revenge. Plain and simple, Your Excellency.
I believe we have a clear picture of the incident now. Despite her guilt being determined 9 months ago, Miss Brett managed to avoid incarceration, instead continuing her research work at the university. Obviously, over that period, she and Rei would have encountered each other on numerous occasions.
Seeing the murderer of the mentor for whom she had such great respect, enjoying such undeserved liberty.
Yes. Even if it was only a temporary until Miss Brett's extradition to Shanghai. You can hardly blame Rei for feelings of anger and resentment.
Poor Rei.
So, Your Excellency, if you'd be so kind as to pursue this exhibit, A, a photographic print that shows the crime scene immediately following the grim incident.
Yes, thank you. A tragic image. Why is it tragic? She was bad.
As you can clearly see, there is nowhere within the hut that anyone could have hidden anything.
The court will accept the photograph as evidence. Photograph added to the crime scene, into the court record.
You could have hid behind the doorway.
As I understand it then, the victim and the defendant were alone inside the beach hut at the time. Trial. This is deeply troubling, I must say. The finger of guilt points firmly at the defendant.
Well, Your Excellency, naturally the prosecutor is much more naturally my blast! Well, Your Excellency, naturally the prosecution has much more to this case. We intend to prove the accused appalling actions beyond all reasonable contention. To that end, I can confirm that we have multiple witnesses to the crime and damning evidence.
Well, witnesses? But who?
Quiet!
One
of whom, I might add, is a highly respected police detective. I assure you the testimony of these witnesses will leave no room for doubt.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, you're right, scientist. The vampire guy actually tries to seek the truth, whereas Ouchie doesn't really care.
Ouchie doesn't care, yeah. Very well, counsel. Bring forth your witnesses.
Ouchie, have been waiting for this moment.
Sorry?
Ah, yes, I haven't forgotten the trial 9 months ago, here in this very courthouse. And when that irrelevant little student boy utterly humiliated me.
Yeah, he used to have really nice hair.
Ah, Ryunosuke Naruhodou!
Yes? What is it?
This insult to the Ouchi family name will never be forgotten.
You've become conceited with age, Council, but the old have to stand aside and make way for the new. It's the way of the world. May you never forget that!
His hair!
The strike, the head of the samurai whose top knot has been cut, and the bell of culturally enlightened tolls. Yes, on that fateful day, my former self died.
The start of your own mini Meiji revolution? Are you modernizing as well, Council?
Silence! Since I swore revenge back then, there has been a minor miracle atop my head. Observe the ouchie growth. You see, this is a seed of hope sprouting forth from the barren expanse of my crown.
I think that tiny growth is trying to tell me something. I'm afraid I can't really see. Where is the hope exactly?
I said silence! Today I face another Yoko student of the Naruhodo clan. Well, I will vanquish you. And my victory will be fertilizer for the seed of hope atop my head. You have been warned.
The seed of hope.
My hair will grow back. My future descendants will not be bald. Even though they will. And with that, the prosecution calls the witness to the stand.
It looks like the stakes are high on both sides in this trial. The prosecution and defense each has much to lose.
Oh yeah, you're right, Ouchie does want revenge for the death of his hair.
Mm-hmm.
A haircut is hardly comparable to Rei's life.
That is true. Oh my gosh.
These
Oh
guys
no.
Again. Wait, they saw it?
Witnesses, please state your names and occupations for the court. I need some tea.
Oh my gosh, you have a lot of witnesses to do now again.
I'll be fine. Chief Inspector Hosonaga, Imperial Police Bureau. I'm in disguise, obviously, so that I can go undetected. And I am, well, the next big thing in books, and author renowned throughout the capital, in fact, yes. Soon to be sold out, I am Cat Sensational Success. Natsume!
Oh my goodness!
Struggling student from the provinces. Please, you shouldn't be in awe of me.
I needn't, Soseki!
It's only natural that you would feel nervous in my presence. Best of all, please relax. Call me Soseki.
Yes. What on earth is Soseki-san doing here?
His ship finally made it back. Tread carefully, Susie. That author fellow knows you from your time in London, doesn't he? If he exposes you, who you really are, this will be over before it's begun, and you will be put in jail.
Yes, Father. Yes, Father, of course. If I presume Soseki-san won't have forgotten about me, I could certainly never forget him. Although he does seem to have changed somewhat in the 6 months or so that it's been since I last saw him. And as for Inspector Hosonaga, that amazing outfit is hard to believe.
Do I have something on my face?
You have a huge turtle strapped to your face. Well, your glasses for one, although they don't seem to be helping you see. Thank goodness, he hasn't recognized me either.
I suppose it's this disguise, isn't it? I thought that appearing here in clothes I was wearing at the time would make for a more faithful testimony. It is my guiding principle to carry out all testimonies flawlessly. Well, I can appreciate why an Imperial Police Bureau detective might have been present. But what a business does a writer such as yourself have being at the scene, Soseki? Ah, well, you see, I had been asked that day to give a lecture on the morning of the incident in the Imperial Yumi University's Grand Lecture Hall, no less.
At Yume University?
After the lecture, I had a very pleasant conversation with a researcher from a medical science department. The professor over there, in fact.
Oh Professor Mikatoba?
Yes, that is right. It was arranged by one of the newspapers. They wanted some story or other about 2 former students who died, who are studying in Great Britain. Of course, being around Arthur, the press never left me alone. They secretly spy snapshots, scribble stories, and scrupper my privacy. As you can see, the conversation was written up in this newspaper here. Read it at your leisure, my provenable struggling student friend. I have plenty of copies.
Thank you very much. He practically threw that paper at me. The Soseki Natsume article has been entered into the court record.
Anyway, following my interview with the professor, the lady in question appeared and made a very unexpected announcement. I should like to go with everyone to see our country's coast. Those were her words. As I explained before, Miss Brett was never taken into custody. She continued to work in my laboratory under strict surveillance, of course. At which utterance, the university immediately contacted the government to seek guidance. And the response was, permit Miss Brett to go as long as detective accompanies her. That detective, I am at liberty to divulge, was me, Chief Inspector Hosonaga. Yes, thereby the entire party departed cordially for the seaside, it seems. It was extremely challenging to clear all other members of the public from the vicinity of the beach. Oh, not this again. But fortunately, I am at peak physical fitness at the moment, so I was able to carry out my duty flawlessly.
Oh my! Inspector, well, do you have something on your face right now, or...
How unsightly, I do apologize.
Does that mean that you went to the beach too, Father?
No. Fortunately, I had to work to finish off. But unfortunately, of course, it meant that as my assistant, Rei was invited to take my place. Of course, being a renowned author, I didn't like to decline the invitation. But if only I had, I'd never have seen that awful side! Relentlessly racked and remorse by the regret! Very well, I must ask you now to present your formal testimony to the court. You will give an account of all that you witnessed on your impromptu excursion to the coast. Of course, Your Excellency. Very well, relentlessly racked by remorse and regret, I am. Witness testimony. The witnessed scene. On the day of the incident, I was ordered on a special surveillance assignment in this disguise. Oh, I had just managed to catch the cab when I suddenly heard a cart fall from behind me. I ran into the beach out at once, where I found the pair in question. Yes, that young girl was astride the Englishwoman, dagger in hand, as she stabbed wildly. I saw blood on the blade. It proved to me that she had stabbed the victim multiple times. Oh my God.
I think Miss Brett killed herself.
Indeed. It does appear from this testimony that both the witness here present saw it. The very moment of the heinous crime.
What?
Now, if you will recall, I promised evidence as well. What phrase did I use again? Ah, yes! That it was damning evidence!
What have you there, Consul? A so-called fountain pen, is it? Correct, Your Excellency. I found it at the scene whilst examining the body. It appears that in her dying moments, with her final ounce of strength, the victim clutched a piece of evidence that would positively identify her killer.
What? May I explain something real quick? For people coming in, Susato is pretending to be a guy so she can be in the courtroom. That's why she looks different, if people are wondering. Alright, continue.
Your Excellency, if you would cast your eyes over the photographic print of the crime scene once more.
Also, she is saying that she is from the clan of the person she likes.
Yeah.
So
She's pretending she's Ryunosuke's cousin.
Yep. Which is kind of cute. Like, you would think that she would say her name was Kazuma or whatever. Goodness.
Yes.
Oh, yes, the victim is clearly holding something quite deliberately here in her hand. That's right, the fountain pen. And if you would kindly examine the pen, Your Excellency. Ah! The owner's initials have been engraved onto the pen of the barrel. R.M. Rei Mibambi. The initials of the defendant.
Ah! Oh no! He's wearing a bathing suit.
Yep. This fountain pen will be admitted immediately into the critical evidence. Fountain pen added to the court record. Ta-da!
So I have omitted anything? Decisive testimony and damning evidence! There's a bright blue sky outside the courthouse today. Perfect weather to ascribe guilt, I feel.
I don't understand. The prosecutor, ouchie, of 9 months ago had none of this man's poise.
Counsel for the defense, you may begin your cross-examination now.
Huh?
Naruhodo-san!
Naruhodo... that means... Oh, yes! Me!
Is there another Naruhodo in my courtroom?
Actually, there isn't even one single Naruhodo in your courtroom.
Cousin Ryu, pull yourself together, please.
Oh, right! Yes, cousin! All right, I've seen this countless times as a judicial assistant before. Find inconsistencies in the witnesses' testimonies to prove that they're lying somehow. That's all there is to it. That's how a real lawyer would handle a cross-examination. So let's see what I can do.
Da-da-da, da-da-da. Dun-da-dun-dun, dun-da-dun-dun.
The witness scene.
The witness is seen, yes. Oh, now we gotta question everything. On the day of the incident, I was ordered on a special... Oh, there she goes.
In that jaunty disguise?
I like my bathing suit, correct. Wait, no! I mean, it wasn't the first time I've worn this swimsuit for a dip in the ocean. I've tried and tested it. Do what must be done to keep the Englishwoman under surveillance. Those were my orders that day.
And this tried and tested outfit was the answer then?
Being able to blend flawlessly into a crowd is an important part of a detective's job. I submerged myself in the salty water, leaving only my turtle floating inconspicuously on the surface. My turtle loves water!
Oh my gosh.
But
there was no need to blend into the background on this assignment, really, was there? Since there was no crowd.
Ah, if that made you arriving on the scene, I think perhaps you had your priorities wrong? Japanese humor. Ahem, ahem.
Perhaps I shouldn't pursue this line of questioning in any further at the moment.
Dun, 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 dun. I had just managed to catch that crab when I suddenly heard a scream from behind me.
Hold it! You're describing the victim's scream, presumably Soseki-san. You're describing the victim's scream then?
In more literary terms, you might say it was a scream that could have pierced the heavens. Kia! Or the like. Of course, that's just a metaphor. We renowned authors won't be describing things so.
Soseki-san wasn't like this in England at all.
Anyway, I spun around at the noise, and the beach hut immediately fell under my gaze.
Yes, the beach hut.
The area is popular with government ministries. Many have seaside retreats there for rest and recuperation. Dun, dun, dun. Locals are prohibited from entering the area, so it's always very quiet. The beach hut is a simple structure, erected as a place for people to change or to take refuge from the sun. Although the Englishwoman commandeered the hut for herself, which meant that I was forced to change into my swimwear on the sand.
Oh my gosh! I imagine that was rather embarrassing for you.
Well, anyway, I tossed the crab aside from the head of the beach hut and ran. Or, in a more literary terms, I crabbed and beetled off hutwise. Okay.
Okay.
I ran into the beach hut at once, where I found the pair in question.
Hold it! Sorry. Wait, by pair, you don't mean to say, but how could that be?
No, you misunderstood. Obviously, I mean the victim and the defendant, Rei.
Oh, it would have been helpful if you had just said that in the outset.
If you jump to conclusions, you have to expect to fall flat on your face sometimes.
Dear me, pinning your hopes on such an outside chance. Foolish! Very foolish!
It really was an outside chance. I just wish I'd realized that before I said something silly.
So, Inspector, why don't you tell the court how exactly you found the aforementioned pair in the hut?
Well, it was a sorry sight. A really grisly scene. I parted the Norrin curtain hanging on the doorway and stepped inside only to see the defendant leaning mercilessly over the lifeless body of the victim sprawled on the sand. My glasses were nearly cracked at the ominous sight that met my eyes.
How thoroughly appalling!
He doesn't appear to be lying here. Well, Soseki-san, can you confirm what Inspector Hosonaga is saying, I wonder?
You would like to hear literary man's opinion?
Sure, whatever you want to hear.
Yes, the young girl was astride the Englishwoman, dagger in hand, and as she stabbed wildly.
Hold it! Stabbed wildly? You actually saw her do it, did you?
Oh, indeed. Terrible spectre! The inspector, the bloody torrent, the author's torment!
Yay!
Every sight and every sound is still carved into my memory. That was my impression, at least, as a future literary sensation.
Counsel, what on earth was that shrill, effeminate scream?
Oh, no, no, what are you insinuating? As I'm a manly Japanese, as you are, and I'm manly.
I wonder if I might interject here, Soseki-san. Something you said is troubling me. That was my impression, were your words just now, I believe, yes?
So do you mean to say you're not confident that you really did see what you've described?
No, I mean, yes! I mean, I know what I saw! My ears didn't deceive me when I heard that scream, hence my eyes didn't deceive me either! I couldn't describe everything I saw vividly. I could publish it in all tomorrow's newspaper serial.
It sounds as though the next installment of I Am a Cat may take a macabre turn?
I think. I don't know.
I think it is a fool's errand. The more we press your author friend on what we saw, the more entranced he's going to become.
Oh dear, how awkward.
Yes.
So the more we talk about it, the more he's going to say he saw it.
I saw blood on the blade. It proved to me that she had stabbed the victim multiple times.
So he has a vivid imagination.
Yes, that's why he's a good author.
Hold it! She was stabbed multiple times? How can you be sure of that?
Very simply, from the blood on the blade.
The blood?
When I entered into the hut, I saw the defendant holding the blade raised up in the air. Yes, that's right. I saw it too.
Oh,
And I noted that there was blood on the blade already at the point. In other words, the victim had already been stabbed at least once by the time I arrived on the scene. Yes, that's right, I saw it too! And the victim was already holding the defendant's fountain pen in her hand too. All of which means I can be sure the victim did not die instantly. Yes, that's right, I saw it too!
He's saying that for everything.
Yeah, I know.
Maybe a year in London was too much for him. He sounds like he's forgotten how to speak Japanese at this point.
The logic of your argument is sound, at least. Well, as I said, it is my guiding principle to carry out all the testimonies flawlessly.
Perhaps it should have been your guiding principle to protect the victim flawlessly. That's just my personal opinion, of course. No, we have to feel sorry for him because he's bleeding. Even though he didn't do a good job defending anyone.
Consul, you will refrain from mocking the witness.
Oh no, I just have so many thoughts rolling around in my head. It's all I can do to stand here, wide-eyed and mute.
Goodness, my dear, you really must try to calm down.
But how am I supposed to find an inconsistency in what these two gentlemen are saying, Father?
I don't see why either. Oops.
I don't see why either of them would have had any reason to lie.
Just sit Indian style, honey. What you must remember, I think, is that the witness may inadvertently lie at times. For various reasons, a misunderstanding, a mistaken observation, a delusion even...
A delusion!
What's important is that we determine the truth, and there's only one sure way to do that.
Yes, with evidence, of course.
Correct, yes. Spoken like a true judicial assistant. During the witness's testimony, you can use R1 to pick a piece of evidence to present for consideration. So you need to listen carefully to each statement and compare what was said to the details of the court record. If you find some conflicting information, that may be some inconsistency you're looking for.
Yes, it's all about inconsistencies.
Once you have identified a witness's statement that appears to conflict with a piece of evidence, present the evidence to the witness with triangle, and the way ahead will present itself to you, I am sure.
Yes! All right. I'll consider the details of all the evidence in the court record against each statement to find an inconsistency. I hope I'm up to the task.
Don't forget that you can have the witness repeat their statements as many times as you like. Everyone has to start at the beginning, remember? So those wide eyes are quite forgivable. And besides, there's no one else to defend the poor girl.
You're right, Father. You're right. I need to listen to the testimony again from the start.
Alright, I think we should examine stuff in the court record. On the day of the incident, blah 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 blah.
Examine.
Yep, we're gonna examine some stuff. Post-mortem report. Time of death. Around 2 p.m. Blah blah blah. Single deep stab wound from behind, piercing a lung, resulting in fatal hemorrhage. Death would have occurred within minutes. Extreme pupil constriction was observed in the victim at both eyes.
It says single stab wound.
Yeah, it does say single
That
stab
contradicts what he said.
wound. Crime scene.
He said it was multiple stab wounds.
She was also drinking something.
I think she killed herself because she didn't want to face justice. They would have given her the chair.
Well, they didn't have the chair back then. It would have been hanging or...
Well, that's what I think. I think she didn't want to have somebody else kill her. I think she would have rather killed herself.
So then she planned on framing somebody?
I don't think she planned on framing anyone. I think she killed herself, and then the girl came in and found the knife, picked it up, and was freaking out, and then they saw her with a knife, and they assumed that she killed her. That's what I think.
Maybe she was trying to administer medical care because she's supposed to be a medical student.
Kind of like in The Flash, when he grabbed the knife from his wife after the yellow flash, killed that Barry Allen's mom, and then his dad came in and grabbed the knife and was trying to hold it still so she wouldn't die, and then they accused him of murder even though he was actually trying to help her.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I like that thing. Should we try, what else haven't we examined? Yeah, I don't really think she killed herself, because why wouldn't she? She was gonna face justice. She was just delaying the inevitable. Why would she want to go in front of a huge court and have everyone say she murdered someone?
Mm-hmm.
I think she would have rather just done it.
Alright, so Let's check that thing you said were multiple stab wounds. Somebody said that. Young lady was assigned the English from dagger in hand, stabbed wildly.
No, the other guy said multiple stab wounds. He said,
I saw blood on the blade. It proved to me that she had stabbed the victim multiple times. Oh, okay.
yep,
I see it now.
there it is.
Alright, so we know from the post-mortem report that it says single stab wound. So, there we go.
Objection! With the accusatory cry that just welled up from deep inside me, I think I finally understand. Every time Kazuma-sama and Naruhodo-san have stood here at this bench, the stakes have been very, very high indeed.
What's the meaning of that menacing pose, Counsel?
I'd like the witness to clarify something for me.
Who, what, where, when, how?
No, not you, Saseki-san. This query is directed at Inspector Hosonaga.
And me?
In your statement just now, you said the victim was stabbed multiple times.
Yes, that's right. As I said when I entered the hut, the defendant was already standing over the victim, bloody knife in hand, like a murderous demon.
And yet, that cannot be.
What? Get to the point, Consul, please.
In the post-mortem report, it clearly states that the victim was stabbed one time only.
Ah.
Yeah?
In other words, Inspector Hosanaga's testimony is clearly flawed.
Ah.
And Soseki-san,
Me?
you claim to have seen Membambi-san in the throes of stabbing the victim?
Yes, I did. Widely!
But both you and the inspector confirm the same point. There was already blood on the knife when you saw the defendant holding it.
Yes, and...
It's quite simple. We know the murder weapon was used to stab the victim only once. Therefore, there was no way there could have been blood on the knife if that single stabbing hadn't already occurred.
True! Then what exactly is your contention, Consul? Are you going to ever tell us?
Yes, Your Excellency. There is only one logical conclusion. That Soseki-san, in fact, saw was not the moment that the defendant stabbed the victim at all, but the moment that the defendant, in fact, withdrew the blade from the victim's body.
That can't be!
You imagined it with your weird author mind.
Excellent work, Susie. You exploded at them with that objection and then proceeded to pull them apart systematically.
Well, this takes me back.
Huh?
Yes, I seem to remember your cousin staged a scene much like this in that trial 9 months ago. A half-witted child with a half-baked objection, attempting to steal the show.
You're right. There were certain similarities. Except that so-called half-witted child managed to outwit the prosecution, who was only half a head of hair.
Slander! My head is quite adequately dressed. In any case, all this talk of stabbing and withdrawing and multiple wounds, it makes not a jot of difference.
What? Why not?
Engage your brain, young man. When the accused first plunged the deadly weapon into the victim, that was the fatal blow. And it was at that moment that she had just withdrawn the blade already from the next strike that the witness saw. And the knife was already tainted with blood, because the accused had already stabbed the victim, you see. All you have successfully shown with your little display is that the mustached author is prone to moments of exaggeration.
Dun, dun, dun. I'm in agreement with the prosecution. If the defendant has seen wielding the blade at all, That is sufficient grounds for her actions to be viewed with suspicion.
But if she was withdrawing the blade...
Then we are back to where we started, aren't we?
Sorry?
Consider this, young yokel. Boy, is there a student girl? If she's innocent as you claim, then why would she have pulled the blade from the victim, and with a demon's cold-blooded composure, too?
Because she's a scientist.
The prosecution demands an explanation, and it better be good.
Why did Rei pull out the knife?
Ah, yes. Going for the juggler.
What does father mean by that?
Let the court hear your answer then, counsel.
The truth is, I don't really know. But I have to come up with a plausible reason here, or we don't have a case at all. The reason why the defendant pulled the knife blade out of the victim's body was surely that she could...
Save her life. She's a medical person, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Save her life. According to the post-mortem report, the victim's death was not instant.
That's correct. It's thought she would have remained conscious for a short while after sustaining the injury.
Indeed, given her the time to take hold of the piece of evidence that clearly indicates her killer.
The point is, being a medical research assistant, Membambi-san was compelled to act when faced with the wounded victim. Instinctively, she pulled the blade out in an attempt to save Miss Brett's life.
What?
Ah.
Did you hear that, Your Excellency? It would seem this is the best we can expect of this young yokel.
Indeed.
Is it just me, or does it feel much colder in here?
Your Excellency, if I may. Speak, witness. I would like another opportunity to testify. In respect to the sliphold's assertion just put forward by the yokel defense counsel, I mean.
Slipshod? What?
An excellent idea, Inspector. Our young yokel hopeful has a modicum of knowledge when it comes to the law, it seems. But in matters of medicine, he appears to possess not one lot of sense.
Simon says we're a wig man.
Very well, Inspector. I will permit your request.
Yeah, why doesn't he just put a wig on?
I don't know. You will testify again before the court on the subject of the defense's assertion.
A little toupee would help him out there.
Yes, sir. I will do so flawlessly.
He should wear a toupee until his hair grows back.
Yeah.
His hair just looks weird right now.
Forensic medicine primer. Pulling a blade from the wound without thinking would have caused heavy bleeding. That's the basic knowledge that any medical research assistant with an ounce of sense ought to know. In other words, there's no good reason why the defendant would have tried to pull the knife from the victim. Let's not forget that the young student did have a motive for killing the victim. The man the victim murdered 9 months ago, Dr. H. Wilson, was the defendant's slightly highly respected mentor.
Is what you said true, Inspector? Could pulling a knife from a wound really cause the wound to bleed more heavily?
Yes. Think of the weapon itself as a stopper in the wound that prevents excessive blood loss. Until a doctor is ready to provide proper treatment, that stopper shouldn't be removed.
Oh, I see.
This is why yokels should stay on the farm.
Oh my gosh.
Even a quack from some obscure mountain village would have such basic knowledge. Anyone who's ever given some little poke with a knife and pulled it out again knows it.
Oh, well, I've never stabbed anyone, you see, or pulled a blade out of a wound, so...
Of course you haven't. I didn't bring you up to behave like a bandit.
Father, is it true what they're telling me?
Yes. It's basic remedial knowledge for medics. Rei would have been well aware of it. If she were to claim ignorance of such fundamentals, that would prove fatal in many ways.
But then, why would Rei have done it, Father? Could she have pulled out that knife in full knowledge that it would be fatal for Miss Brett?
I don't know.
Maybe she pulled the knife out to finish her off.
Oh my gosh, Amber.
That's what I would have done. I mean, Rei never once mentioned anything about the knife to me. It seems almost impossible to believe, but... could my friend actually have...
Susie,
Yes, father!
pull yourself together. We mustn't lose sight of why we're here.
Ah! Right! Thank you, father.
Consul, it is time for your cross-examination.
Oh yes, your excellency! I'm ready for this!
No, and just so you guys know, Amber's looking at her phone in between, so that's why her
I
responses
look at
are
the
delayed.
chat sometimes to see what you guys are saying.
However, I must warn you that if your cross-examination fails to identify any issue with the established facts, I'll be moving to my verdict immediately afterwards.
Oh no, your education!
It means verdict.
Verdict. Oh no, the verdict! I'm sorry. Believing your clients and fighting for their cause until a bitter end. I mean the bitter end. Darn it! I knew it would be hard, but I had no idea it would be this hard.
Ta-da!
Cross-examination! Forensic Medicine Primer.
Yep, and I just need to delay the other stream, so I'll be right there, guys and gals. It's Mario and Luigi. It says it's starting up at 6 o'clock. That is not happening.
Carrie says Amber is dark.
Amber is always dark.
Well, if you think about it, if the crime was already committed and they already killed her and you came along with her and she had a chance to live but you hated her, you could just pull the knife out and be like, I didn't do it. Technically, I didn't kill her.
Wow.
I don't know.
Yeah, Amber's dark.
I won't kill you, but I don't have to save you.
Wow. Wow, Amber. Alright.
Because I'm Batman.
Here's something. Pulling a blade from a wound without thinking could cause heavy bleeding.
Hold it!
You're saying it without thinking could be a problem. Does that mean that if you used due care and attention, it would be alright?
I wouldn't have thought that's needed spelling out, really, but... The blade is like a stopper in the wound. Remove it and a serious hemorrhage will occur. In other words, a medic would need to be present before any attempt was made to withdraw the blade. Doing it without thinking would be madness. You just can't do it.
Oh, well, thank you for such a thorough explanation.
You see, Counsel, when you act without thinking, the result is a bloodbath.
Ah!
Back to the witness's testimony, please.
That's right, she could have had the tools to save her on hand. She might have been about to save her, and then those people jumped in exactly when she pulled the blade out and then accused her of murder. And she was like, dudes, I'm trying to save this person. They're like, no, you're going to jail. And she's like, you let her die, you jerks.
Okay. That is basic knowledge to any medical research. Hold it.
Hold it!
In that case, there's an obvious explanation here.
Which is?
Clearly, the defendant, Rei Membambi-san, does not possess an ounce of sense.
What do you think about that, Professor Migatoba? I'm not sure what you should be labeling your best friend as lacking in common sense.
Well, I thought it would be better than labeling her as a murderer.
I don't know young people today. If that's friendship, I don't understand it.
Careful, Counsel. A lack of common sense can be a very dangerous thing.
Oh dear, that recoiled me very badly.
That's life, I'm afraid. A lesson everyone must learn. Hopefully you can see now that this is really basic medical knowledge. Being involved in medical research, Miyambi-san would certainly have been aware of it.
I'm sorry, her name sounds like it's from the Congo or something. Membambi-san. It doesn't sound Japanese.
It's obviously a pun on something that I don't know.
Membambi-san.
Yeah.
I don't know what that sounds like. It doesn't sound like a name, but...
In other words, there's a good reason why the defendant would have tried to pull the knife from the victim. There's no good reason.
Hold it!
Hold it! but the defendant had suddenly encountered somebody she knew lying on the ground, bleeding to death. The sight could have shocked her delicate sensibilities, causing her to remove the blade inadvertently without thinking.
I really don't think inadvert actions can explain this.
No?
The woman is a medical research assistant. I can't imagine she would behave so irrationally.
Oh, but irrational behavior is a woman's prerogative, isn't it?
Oh dear, you have a lot to learn about women. Only a small-minded man could have such bigoted views.
Oh dear, perhaps I'm letting my male persona take hold a little bit too much.
Well, have I managed to convey the basics now? That should cover the medical side of the argument. Let's not forget that the young student did have a motive for killing the victim.
Hold it! Whatever the motive, it just isn't in Membambi-san's nature to do something so awful.
But she did have a motive and an opportunity that's very hard to argue against.
But you don't know the defendant!
What does this have to do? And you, Consul, do not appear to know the law!
What?
Yes, evidence is the only way to convince the court of your argument, not feelings.
With this fledgling to defend her, I would almost say I pity the accused.
So do I.
Inspector, you will reiterate your point about the defendant's motive, please. Ah, yes. Miss Brett was in many ways the sworn enemy of Miyambi-san. The man the victim murdered 9 months ago. Okay, hang on. We need to examine all the evidence. Okay, we already know that. The single stab wound.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, people were like, yeah, Susato was kind of being sexist against herself, but I mean, I think she was trying to pretend to be a guy. And be like, hey, because she's a woman, she would act crazy, of course. Because that's what women do. They be crazy.
They be crazy. Whoops. I made a mistake.
Oops. This is hopeless. I can't find a single crack in this testimony anywhere. If Rei knew that withdrawing the knife from the wound would threaten Miss Brett's life further, I can't think of any way to explain why she did it.
Susie, it's times like this when it's specifically important to remember the fundamentals. No.
The fundamentals, Father?
Do not say father in the courtroom, you idiot. Evidence is what counts in the courtroom, isn't it?
Don't be sexist against me, Father!
You're not a man.
Ah!
Now get my tea! Okay.
How dare you! I am a dude! I don't have to go get you tea. Look at my hat.
I am thirsty. I require tea.
Getting your
small cookies.
Nah, of course. But I've been through the court records dozens of times.
I think perhaps you've forgotten something, though. You needn't take the evidence at face value. You can examine it in greater detail, too.
Oh, okay.
I realize this is your first time playing the role of lawyer in the courtroom. So if you need reminding of the rudimentals, you need only ask. I will do my very best to help you.
Examine the evidence in the court record. What a concept. It's an idea, certainly. What should I do? I know what to do. I'll examine stuff. Come to think of it, Kazuma-sama and Naruhodo-san were always turning evidence over and over and over in their hands. And Naruhodo always looked confused. Yes, I need to examine things in greater detail with X.
Ah, by the look in your eyes, I see it's coming back to you. Go through the court record again and have a thorough look at everything. You may find a clue.
I just remembered what day it is. It's Friday. Yes, I'll do that straight away, assistant court dude.
Ah, very well. Blah, 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 blah. Alright, so let's examine. So we can finally turn things around now. Good. Okay. Pen's not gonna help us. I'm curious about this paper, though.
This is the newspaper from Soseki-san. There seems to be an important article on the back page as well, Father. Exclusive. Deadly poison stolen from Yumei Medical Research Laboratory. From Yumei's Medical Research. Father, isn't that your lab?
What the? Let me see that. The poison's been stolen?
It's this morning's paper that Soseki-san gave us. Are you saying you didn't even know, Father?
As embarrassing as it is, the head of the laboratory, I didn't. I have not heard any such thing. Where on earth could the report have glanced this information?
Come to think of it, there was no article mentioning this story in our paper this morning, was there? It's a highly toxic poison we've been working on in the strictest of confidence. I'd put Rei in charge of the project. Rei? She was managing it?
If that's written here is true, it means that she tried to hide the theft from me. And moreover, the details were leaked somehow.
I don't believe it!
We need to read this article very carefully. The person who is talking will have the pointer pasted at them.
I'm sorry, Father!
The article about the poison is be added to the court record.
And I'm just calling the character Father. Luke's not my dad, he's my husband. Just FYI, for anyone. Ruckus England! Raucus England, returnees, tell all. This is the interview with you and Soseki-san, isn't it, Father? It looks as though it was quite an exchange.
Yes, he became a little over-animated when he was talking about his time in England. The photograph managed to capture the moments his hand karate chopped me in the neck.
Oh, I do hope you weren't hurt.
Okay. It's karate chop. Alright, let's examine the pen.
Dramatic experience in England.
Yeah, very dramatic
experience. Examine. The RM initials are very clearly engraved here.
And the fact that Miss Brett was clinging onto this pen in her dying moments is very clear a message too.
To identify her killer, you mean?
I don't think there can be any doubt that this is a key piece of evidence in this case.
Or it could have just been the place they got it from. Remy's meat locker.
What in the world? Alright, I think we're...
No.
Oh my gosh.
Wherever the pen was that they found. Could have been Remy's meat locker, that's where...
Very basic knowledge, blah 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 blah. In other words, there's no good reason why the defendant would have tried to pull the knife from the victim.
Well, there's poison involved.
Why would... Okay, well, I don't...
Maybe she thought there was poison
Fine,
on the knife.
We'll try it. We'll try it. Let's try the poison.
Objection!
Objection! No! There is one possibility! One very good reason why the defendant might have decided to withdraw the knife from the victim's wound.
What?
The yokel not only has poor grasp of the view of the law, but is also a poor loser.
That is mean.
Tell us, what possibility do you think you've identified then, boy?
It's here, in this newspaper article. The article is about a deadly poison having been stolen from the laboratory in the Imperial
Objection! The victim perished from a stab wound. The poison has no relevance in this case.
But...
Prosecutor Ouchie, you will let the defense speak.
But a newspaper article? The court cannot rely on the kind of hearsay those wretched publications carry.
I prefer the funnies myself, but counsel the defense. I am going to need some tangible basis for your claim. You will indicate to the court precisely what part of the newspaper article mentioned affirms your assertion.
Your Excellency!
Yes, of course! Thank you! Arigato! Rei would never have done something to further endanger Miss Brett's life without just cause. The reason why the defendant pulled the knife from the victim's body is explained in this article where it says... Poison stolen from laboratory.
Alright, let's read the article again. Okay, following lecture, a light disturbance took place, a deadly poison being secretly developed at the university. was stolen. Even the smallest amount entering the body through the mouth or a wound from a poison blade would prove fatal in minutes. There you go. Current methods cannot detect newly developed chemicals. So she was trying to get the knife out to stop the poison.
Yeah.
I guess.
So maybe because it's deadly. Which one? Because it's deadly or because it was stolen? Deadly in tiny quantities.
Yeah, let's try that.
Deadly in tiny quantities. Yay, it's deadly.
Oh my gosh.
The article reveals the following property about the poison in question.
Oh.
When the toxin enters the body on a knife laced with the poison, it is rapidly absorbed and causes death in minutes.
Are you suggesting?
If the knife used to attack Miss Brett was laced with this very poison, it would explain why the defendant, Membambi-san, would have withdrawn the blade as soon as possible. Yes, the truth is, it was an attempt to stop the poison from entering the victim's body.
What?
This is complete and utter nonsense.
Not at all.
Yeah.
The defendant withdrew the knife blade from the victim's body not to accelerate the woman's demise, but to save her life, and the prosecution could not deny this possibility.
You have not read the post-mortem report? The cause of death was a hemorrhage. The wound, the word poison, appears nowhere in this document.
Well, that's because by acting quickly to remove the blade, the defendant prevented the poison from taking hold.
Oh, please, this is clearly desperation. The weasel's last breaking of wind. Poison has nothing whatsoever to do with this case, as I believe the defense is well aware. It's a knife wound, you idiot. We have no proof that the information in this wretched newspaper article is all that reliable anyway.
In that situation, what the student should have done is wait for medical assistance to arrive. But instead, you claim she suspected poisoning and took the potentially lethal decision to remove the blade. So, she must have had a strong reason for her suspicions then, or the argument makes no sense.
Exactly, well put, Inspector. On what grounds did she do it, yokel?
Why did Rei suspect the stolen poison was involved here? If you want grounds, I'll give you grounds.
What?
You can't possibly, what?
Oh, it's happening.
From our expression, Counsel, your expression, it would appear those are not empty words. But naturally, as you stand in this courtroom as a lawyer, you must be aware that words alone, empty or not, are of no value in our modern justice system. The court demands evidence.
Yes, Your Excellency, I am well aware of this. And I am a man. I've seen it many times from the place at his side in the Old Bailey.
In that case, Counsel, you will present the proof to the court now. What evidence demonstrates a clear link between this case and the poison in the newspaper article?
Wait, what is the name of the lab?
I don't think the lab has any... Hang on.
Wait, what is the...
Even the smallest amount entering the body via a mouth or a wound from poison-laced blade would prove fatal in minutes. Probably be...
What was the question we were supposed to be answering again? What evidence demonstrates a link between this case and the poison in the newspaper article? Maybe the poison was in the pen. A link between the poison and the newspaper article.
And I don't think it's going to be the pen.
RM, would that be the name of the lab? If we take off the pen's lid... Oh, the poison could be in there. Nothing appears obviously out of the ordinary here, does it, Father?
It does not.
Now, let's unscrew the barrel, shall we? Oh... The this must be a little reservoir that holds ink.
Yes, you fill it by drawing ink from the bottle up through the nib.
The nib, Father? Is that a technical term?
Oh my gosh.
Is something wrong, Father?
It's just there doesn't actually appear to be any ink there at all.
Are you sure you don't want to call it a nub, Father? Ah, yes, you're right. It's pretty much empty, except for the nib. Well, it could be on the verge of running out, I suppose.
The fountain pen has been updated in the court record.
I learned a new word today, Father. Unless you just made that up. Nib.
Wow. Thank you, Amber.
Nib. What evidence demonstrates a clear link between this case? The pen.
I don't think the pen is a part of this case.
The glass! She drank the poison there! She drank it in the glass!
It won't let us click it, though.
Well,
Alright, chat. We need some help. So, I mean, we could try... I mean, a post-mortem report again.
I would just say the pen.
I'm gonna say a single stab wound from behind, piercing a lung and resulting in fatal hemorrhage. I don't know. I'm gonna say the post-mortem report.
Okay.
If we're wrong, we're wrong. There you go.
There's more to the pen. Oh, there is? I would ask the court to refer to the notes section of the post-mortem report, which reads, extreme meiosis, pupil constriction was observed in the victim.
Ah!
Clearly, being a yokel with no knowledge of foreign science, I have no idea, so please do tell me.
I believe the term is forensic.
Presumably, the fact that this condition of the victim was noted in the post-mortem report means that it's an unusual symptom of death.
What? Well,
Under normal circumstances, the pupils dilate when someone dies. If there was extreme constriction instead, that's most certainly unusual, yes.
What are you doing, you yokel detective?
In the newspaper article, there's the following information about the stolen poison. Onset of symptoms occurs in minutes, ending with acute contraction of the pupils prior to death.
What?
If the defendant, upon seeing the victim stabbed in the back, happened to notice that the pupils amidst Brett's eyes had constricted severely.
Ah, yes. As a medical research assistant, she would have suspected poison immediately, without a doubt.
Prosecutor Ouchie!
What?
I think you'll agree. This is very compelling evidence.
You. Yokel student of Yokel!
That's enough. I believe the defense has expertly demonstrated a credible reason for the defendant's actions.
No!
Yes.
Yujin Mikotoba. Yes, Your Excellency. I believe you are best placed here to confirm or deny the veracity of the defense's counsel's argument or whatever. Veracity, you will tell the court the truth about the details reported in this newspaper, please. It pains me to have to admit it, but I'm afraid I don't know. You don't know? The toxin was kept under lock and key in my laboratory, certainly, but I was unaware of any theft. Do you mean to tell the court that the reports of this theft are unfounded? No. Your Excellency, without returning to the laboratory to investigate myself, I couldn't say.
Ha! Listen to this bumbling academic! Unaware of the theft of the secret state research from his own workplace until he reads it off in the newspaper.
I take full responsibility for the incompetence of my supervision.
Ah, Father!
Father, what? A pitiful situation for a university professor to find himself in.
I mean, cousin, once removed.
We're not related yet. You would have to marry Naruhodo. I mean...
Oh!
You should have more control over your students rather than allowing them off on killing sprees.
I just thought of something. What if she knew the poison would kill her and... Hold it! I mean, I have something to say. it!
Oh, it's her. Where'd she come from?
None of this is Professor Migatoba's fault! It's all my fault! Rei!
What are you doing, Rei? You stand accused here. Outbursts like that will not be tolerated.
But it was me! I was the one who noticed that the poison we were developing had been stolen that day.
What?
So you knew. I'd been placed in charge of overseeing the project. It was the day that the professor and Soseki-san were interviewed together for the newspaper. That's when I noticed that some of the poison was missing. Just a tiny amount it was.
Why didn't you let me know immediately?
I was scared to tell you. The whole project was supposed to be confidential, but some of the toxin had somehow been taken. So I decided to try to get it back before anyone else could find out that it was gone, because I had a very good idea who the thief was. The thief? You don't mean? Yes, of course. It was that dainty Englishwoman.
Miss Jazeel Brett?
That's why I decided to join that little group of people going to that seaside place. Inside the beach hut, I confronted Miss Brett. But she just sat on a stool in the back of the hut, smiling sweetly at me as if she knew she was untouchable. I know it was you who stole the poison. Well now, whatever do you mean? And then she suddenly got to her feet before falling to her knees in front of me and collapsing on the floor. That's when I saw the knife in her back. I couldn't understand what had just happened, and then a moment later I was seized with fear. The pupils of her eyes they'd shrunk to tiny pinpoints.
I don't believe it. In other words, you realized that the victim was suffering the effects of the stolen poison.
My mind started racing. I hadn't seen anything past Miss Brett's lips whilst I had been with her, which left only one possible way for the poison to have entered her body. On the blade of the knife in her back.
And that train of thought was what spurred you to withdraw the blade?
Yes. If the amount had entered her bloodstream was small enough, she might still have a chance. That's what I hoped. Really, I'm so sorry for staying silent all this time.
What?
Your attempt to hide the truth of what happened is not something that can be overlooked. However, I have a duly noted the courage for which you confessed in the end.
Thank you, Your Excellency. It's barely perceptible, but I do think the balance has shifted a little here, in this courtroom now.
Your Excellency, do not be deceived! The victim only just collapsed before your eyes, you say? Well, if that is the case, perhaps you should explain how Miss Brett came to be stabbed.
Well,
You have no answer because the simple truth is that you stabbed the victim, motivated by revenge.
Objection! But you have no conclusive evidence to prove that assertion, do you?
Ah. Oh, I have evidence, and it's very much conclusive.
What is the prosecution counsel up to? It was brief, but he hesitated for a moment there. I'm almost sure of it.
You will provide the aforementioned evidence at once, Prosecutor Ouchie.
Perhaps some praise is due, young Yoko student?
What?
Yes, I had imagined there would be no need to submit this evidence. But you brought this pain on yourself, fool!
What the?
Could be more damaging than this. The cruelty in the air on that bench is most palpable.
I don't know who's talking there, but well.
This evidence, more than any other, reveals the true extent of the accused's murderous nature. For it shows the precise moment that Miyambi-san plunged the dagger into the victim's back.
No, that's not true. No, I don't believe it. Ah!
Uh-oh.
She could be taking it out, though.
Order! Order! Counsel from the defense. Was it you who was responsible for that shrill scream that just pierced the courtroom?
Perhaps his voice has yet to break. These yokels are slow of mind and to mature.
Oh, she screamed like a girl.
Ah!
No, that was a while ago.
Sorry. I'll show you who's slow to mature.
Careful now. Susie is starting to show her face here. It is often said that a picture is worth 1,000 words, and here we have ample proof. The court will accept this extremely contagious photograph as evidence.
Sorry. I'll try to be whatever. Skeletor says in the chat that, Ouchie stole his voice. I can't believe he's had a photograph like this up his sleeve this entire time. It's such a stark image. I'm genuinely lost for words. Wait a minute! I don't understand! How did you... I mean, who took that photograph? Rei.
What does it matter? That's of no importance here. You're trying to divert attention.
Oh! Objection! That's an absurd thing to say. It's crucially important. Whoever took this photograph for print was a witness to Miss Brett's death. The court must be allowed to hear this person's testimony.
I will uphold the defense's demand. The prosecution will reveal the person who took this photo at once.
No. Well, I'm afraid I can't do that.
Pardon?
You see, this print arrived at the Imperial Police Bureau headquarters by express post yesterday, but there was nothing to indicate the sender's name or address. The provenance of the print is also unknown.
Goodness!
Are we to understand then, counsel, that in full knowledge of the fact that this photograph has the murkiest of origins, you nevertheless believe it's for submission as the evidence at the Supreme Court?
When you first produced that print before, I noticed that you hesitated for a brief moment. Because you knew it wasn't completely reliable evidence, didn't you?
Silence, you yokel student and blabbering professor! What matters is the blatant truth that this print so eloquently expresses.
But the defendant has already admitted to pulling the blade from the wound. Clearly, this isn't the moment that the knife was plunged into the victim's back, but...
The moment it was withdrawn. Don't waste this court's time with your ramblings.
Indeed. Without knowledge of who produced this print, we have no means of verifying the claim. And the scene it captures is without a doubt the most compelling evidence presented to my court. If the defense is unable to shed any further light on the matter, I believe the conclusion is rather clear.
Oh no!
Susie, this is a time for you to fight. If what you've established so far is true, then there can be no doubt. This photograph shows the moment that Rei withdrew the blade from the victim.
Yes, we need to prove that somehow.
You'll have plenty of time to rue your defeat on the slow train back to the provinces, yokel. And so rue the day you came across Ouchie in the court of law.
If I can't determine who took this photograph, then the trial is going to come to an end. There must be a clue somewhere. There must be some way of working out who took it.
Well, counsel?
Your Excellency, the burning question is who took that photograph, and the truth is, I have the answer.
Okay, don't really hit yourself. There you go.
This isn't about whether or not I can come up with the answer now. I simply have to. The identity of the person who took this dramatic photographic print is, I assure you, something the defense can and will reveal.
What? No, you can't possibly. But as you so boldly claim, that you can please do enlighten us.
Unfortunately, I am unable to present it a name at this
How
time.
utterly underwhelming. Did you really? Ah!
However, I am able to present evidence. The defense has a piece of evidence that reveals important details about the photographer's identity.
What, did you just speak utter nonsense?
Photographer! It's a word!
Very well. No, it's not. Counsel, present your proof to the court now.
I will present this proof with this nib.
Which piece of evidence do you claim reveals something about the identity of the mystery of the photographer?
Here, father, here's some tea. Make sure to hold it by the nib of the cup.
I hate you. What is that? The newspaper again? Rackus England returnees tell all.
It's not the headline that's relevant here, Your Excellency. It's the photograph. If you look at it closely, you'll notice there are some white lines on the right-hand side.
Ah, yes indeed. They had already caught my eye as it happened.
What of it? A shadow of some kind, presumably from the branches of a tree or the like?
There are no trees inside my laboratory at the university, I can assure you.
Now, if you look closely at this photograph, it has the same lines.
Good gracious!
It's the same camera. Yes, exactly the same pattern of lines is present on this photograph too.
Objection! Well, that tells us nothing. Aha! Yes, it's a shadow of some kind, definitely, from the branches of a tree.
There wouldn't be any trees growing inside a hut at the beach, Counsel.
Nyarf.
That's quite remarkable about it, is that the two patterns are absolutely identical. How could such an extraordinary similarity have transpired?
The curious matching pattern that appears on both photographic prints is a result of...
Probably a camera error.
defect.
There we go.
Obviously, it must be due to a problem with the camera used to take the photographs.
With the photographic device?
Yes. We can, confidently say that the camera's lens must be scratched. And that the scratched lens causes unwanted lines to appear on every print taken with the device.
In short, the two photographs under consideration here were taken with the same camera.
Yeah, what? But. There must be hundreds of such camera devices here in the capital. Yes, it would be utterly impossible to identify the owner of this particular one. Impossible. Ah!
Objection! I think you're forgetting, Prosecutor Ouchie,
What?
that one of the photographs was featured in a newspaper article.
A newspaper article? Put your foot down.
Yes, that's right. The author of that article is the mystery witness to this crime.
What? Nani?
What?
Yeah.
Oh, it's this guy again. I see why you're called a Rackus England returnee.
What are you yelling about? You've already testified.
It's... I tell you, Menimimo! I don't know what it is. Me and me. Oh!
Many memo. I'm Soseki-san, what was that? Did you say many memo?
Ever since I returned to Japan, a reporter from the news has been hounding me, following me every my move. A reporter by the name of Reitan
Many memo.
Reitan Many Meno. Yes, hounding me from dawn till dusk.
Ah, Wright and Many memo. Now that he mentions it. Or Wright and... Oh, there he
They
is.
secretly spy snapshots. My privacy.
Could that same reporter be...
A camera to the left of him, a notebook to the right. There I am, stuck in the middle with Reitan, whatever. So you're saying that this picture was taken by... Yes! By that man! By that annoying paparazzi! Your Excellency, Esquire! Officer, find this newspaper reporter at once and bring him to my courtroom. We will adjourn for a short recess in the meantime.
Oh, yes, Your Excellency.
As you say, Your Excellency?
And one more thing. I want this knife, the murder weapon, examined for traces of poison. You will solicitate the assistance of the Imperial University's medical department for the task. Understood?
Yes!
And then the other guy said, Many memo!
I think that's it for the first episode.
It's like meeny miny mo, but it's many mo.
I don't know.
Many memo.
Alright!
That was very weird.
That was super weird.
Well, we can put that nib of a case aside.
Oh my gosh! You make one mistake.
No, it wasn't a mistake.
Oh.
That was what the father really called the pen. I was making fun of the father, not you.
Okay.
I haven't actually been making fun of you. I've been making fun of her dad.
No, get away from my tea bug. Ah!
He called that tip of a pen a nib.
Oh.
Who does that? I wasn't making fun of you. I was making fun of her dad.
Ah, I see.
I was doing a dad joke.
Dad jokes are great jokes.
Recess, snack time. That's right. It's recess and snack time. Definitely 08.
Yeah, it's dinner time.
Same camera, says Drago.
All right. So anyway, guys and gals, that is going to do it for today's episode of Ace Attorney. Thank you so much for watching. Actually, now it's the Great Ace Attorney Adventures 2 Resolve. Thank you so much for watching. The trial will continue tomorrow as we bring in a new person to kind of divulge more about the case. And that will be interesting. But make sure you guys leave a comment after this video. Mario and Luigi will be starting up at 7:30. Gives me just enough time to have something to eat. If you missed the Wakanda episode for the Black Panther, episode 2 went up today. It currently is close to 1,000 views, so thank you for that. And we also had a short that went up for Yoshi at 7 in the morning, so you can find that in the new shorts playlist that will be on the channel as well. Just hit up the playlist section, or you can watch the short at the start of every live stream, because we have the ability to, for some reason, have our shorts play as you're waiting for the stream to start, which is kind of cool, actually. But thank you again, Capcom, for providing a copy. And Ace Attorney will be back tomorrow around 4 or 5. And Mario and Luigi will be starting up in about 30 to 40 minutes. All right, guys.
Awesome.
God bless and happy gaming. Thanks for watching.
See ya in a bit.